This morning, I want us to take a couple of minutes to take a look at a very familiar story in the Bible called the Prodigal Son. Now, there isn't a person out there this morning that cannot quote, and maybe so even better than preachers, the story of the Prodigal Son. But let me share with you some things that a lot of preachers do not bring out in regards to the prodigal son. And let me tell you what they are. There are three very important things. And that first one is accountability. The second one is a commitment. And the third is leadership. Now let me explain to you why. There isn't a father or a mother today that wants to do anything that would contribute to the demise of their children, and you don't want to enable them. You want them, of course, to be successful. But now, in this particular parable, some of the things that we have not been informed of are some of the religious teachings and beliefs of the Hebrew people in the Old Testament. Now, we find that this young man, and when you are a young man and you're a Jewish boy, they're usually about the age of 12 when they declare you are a man. So when you reach that age, you've got rights. And we've got a young boy, a young farm boy, that's decided plowing corn is not his thing. He wants to get out and sow some wild oats. So he's got the right, according to the Jewish law, to go to his father, whether he's dead or alive, in that case, whomever has charge of the wealth of that family, and demand, it's mine and I want it now. The father doesn't have to be dead. Now you talk about accountability and commitment and leadership. That father, he has to give that money to that boy and let him go squander his life in another country. But here's what I want you to remember. There's another individual, another son in that family. You remember where the boy is? He's laboring in the fields from sunup to sundown. The father, of course, is committed to love both of those boys and to show it and to display it. And that's called a little bit of leadership. Now I want you to just stop and put yourself in this particular situation. You're the older brother. Your younger brother's gone. He's sowing his wild oats, but you are back in the field. You're shoulder to the wheel, so to speak. You are trying to make that farm productive. You're laboring all day long. But then all of a sudden, you start to hear music echoing from a distance. But your job is the task of farming, and that's what you're doing. But you still hear the music. And finally, you're curious enough that you ask one of the ranch hands, one of the hired hands, what's going on? And you're informed that's a party. They're having a party. Haven't you heard? Your brother's home. Your dad has killed a fatted calf and they are getting ready to party. Question I'm asking you is, how would you feel? You've been out there in the field from sunup to sundown laboring to make that a successful farm, and nobody's bothered to even come down there and tell you. You stayed at home. You've been in the fields. Your younger brother left. I want to ask you a question. How would you feel this morning? Well, let me tell you about the older brother. He's displeased. And to some of the old people, you say he's mad as a hornet. This elderly brother has done everything to please the Father. But now when it comes down to leadership, that father's got to come down. And this is what we want to remember. Has to come down and meet that older son and explain to him that he loves him. Make him believe. This is leadership on the Christian's behalf. You're not forgotten. Now, I love you, son, but what I want you to really focus on is the fact that that which was lost, your brother is now back home. He's found. Can you accept that? See, being a Christian is not easy by any means, because we have to forgive one another. And you say, this today, your Christian life and my Christian life has to display all three of these characteristics. We have to have accountability for what we do, a commitment, and leadership has to be a part of these two. Now, and you and I, no matter how much we are hurt, no matter what's been done to us, you and I have to display at all costs, because that's exactly what this ungodly world is watching you and I for. That's what they want to see displayed. Can you walk the walk and can you talk the talk? Now, I'm going to go with another very familiar story, and I know that you all know these by heart. I don't have to tell them to you, but I just want to bring out some points. This rich young ruler, we always hear him being used as an example. But you've got to keep in mind, here's a very successful man. I mean, he's grown into adulthood and he is a sharp businessman. But also remember that every time the church doors or synagogue doors are open, that boy is there. He had to learn all 5 books and be able to quote them from Moses. And he goes out into the world, he becomes successful, but he's got a problem. Now listen carefully. No matter how many times you go to church, sometimes the vaccination doesn't take. Now you've got this wealthy young man, and he is in the day of Jesus, and he hears the preaching and the teaching of Jesus Christ. He hears he doesn't need Abraham. All he needs is Jesus Christ. He doesn't need a priest. All he needs is Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh unto the Father except by me. Now, he's got a problem. I mean, you don't have to be a brilliant person to conclude this boy's got a religious problem. And you and I both know what it is. The vaccination hasn't taken. He's got a religious problem. And this thing is really starting to consume him. And if you want the truth, if you want nothing but the facts, then you go to the source that can provide you the right answer. Christ is in the neighborhood, so the boy goes and he asks one question. You remember what it was? What's the one thing? See, he's got a salvation problem. I just want to know, Lord, one thing. I don't want to take up your time, so to speak, but I want to know what the one important and only thing I've got to do to inherit eternity. Think about this for a minute. Whenever you're in the presence of Jesus Christ, He automatically knows you. Remember at the pool at Bethsaida, Jesus is only 33 years of age, but what did He say when He looked at the man? I know your case of 38 years. He's looking at this entrepreneur, this brilliant young man. He knows how successful and what a mind he's got. And the Lord immediately says to him, hey, listen, my brother, answer your questions. Get rid of your wealth. Give it all away to the poor. And come follow me. Let me make you an apostle of mine, and let's spread the gospel of Jesus Christ into the known world. Now, what went wrong? Let me tell you something. When you're dealing with what's yours, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine, that kind of an attitude, you let somebody take it away from you or threaten to take it away from you, and you got a problem right then and right there. That's where the rubber meets the road. And this is exactly what went on that boy's head. Listen. Do you realize that scholars down through the years have said that this is the harshest thing that Christ ever did? It's difficult for them to believe that He would say something like that to a young, successful businessman and then take it all away from him. I mean, that's what he's worked for. But you understand, when Jesus said that, the only thing He was thinking about was what? His money, the amassed fortunes that he had made, the creation, his ability was all on. Why should I give it away? You didn't earn it. You don't deserve it, and you're not getting it. It's mine. Now let me ask you this question. This is a little bit of food for thought for you. Has Christ in your life ever asked you, now pay attention, has Christ ever asked of you anything that was unexpected and, note the word and unreasonable? I want you to think about the rich young man. Unexpected and unreasonable. Man, Lord, you're harsh. And man, if you're going to take stuff away from me, you're going to have to fight me. Have you ever been there? Now, let me tell you something. All our little secret sins, your secret sins and mine, they're really similar to the rich man's problem. Because we're going to have the same response. My little secret sins are mine, and I've got them, and I'm not giving them up. I want you to think about that. And I want us to now remember something that's very, very important in our lives. And oftentimes when I look at these pictures, I think of that example. God sees the whole picture, and we just see a little piece down in the corner. I want us to remember this morning that God seldom reveals any details to you and I in advance when He's working in and through our lives. I want to use Joshua for a second. You know the story of Joshua, well as any preacher. 40 years these people have been marching around, this older generation, and they're belly aching, they're bickering. There isn't anything that God's done for them that they don't have something negative to say. And God got tired of it. And He said, you're not going into the promised land. So a new generation has now come into being. And there's even a problem with the new generation. They got to be prepared, this new generation. That's why God has led them up to this point. He's trying to get a message out to the new generation of people that they got to be prepared for whatever is going to be, God's will that is, that's going to be required of them. Now when they come up on that little berm and they look down over, you got to understand there's 1.5 people that are being led by Joshua. And that's the Jordan River. So you got to be prepared. Because things don't always, God's not going to reveal everything to you in advance. And let me tell you something about the Jordan River. It's only 100 feet wide at its top width. And you can walk across it without getting your knees wet. The deepest part of the Jordan River has been measured at 10 feet. Only these people are standing at the top of that little knoll, and they're looking down at the most unbelievable sight they've ever seen. The Jordan River is a torrent of angry, flooded water that's inundating the land. It brings back memories of the stories told about the Nile River. I mean, it's inundating the land. The water is swift and it's rolling. It's a raging torrent they're looking at. And now Joshua issues this command. Go forward. Hey, this is not ward, bond, and wagon training. Head them up and move them out. No. You know, people, that's a raging torrent of water. You can die. You get into that water, fall into it, step into it, it could carry you away. Now, what those people in that crowd around Joshua that day looking at that water reminds me of what used to be said when we were back in high school, when something stupid was said. Well, say what? You remember that? Say what? Listen, Joshua, why cross now? Let's just wait till the water recedes. Man, it won't be but 8 to 10 days. And then we can all go across. We'll all be safe. Nothing's going to be lost. But it's still the same today as it was back then. You and I only hear what is a priority in our lives. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think with me. Is God taking you through any kind of a major change in your life? Are you questioning God about something or some reason? Here is the second point. In questioning God, do you feel a hand or His hand of leadership on you? Do you sense a call of some sort in your life? And do you feel God pointing you in a certain direction? Maybe God's asked you for a specific commitment